If you understand English but still hesitate when it is time to speak, this lesson is for you. Because fluency is not about knowing more grammar. It is about responding naturally in real moments. So before we begin, take a second, relax your shoulders, clear your mind, and get ready to speak along with me. If you enjoy this kind of real English training, support the channel by liking this video and subscribing to English in Mastery. And feel free to leave a comment telling me where you are watching from. Now let us begin with something simple but powerful. In daily life, native speakers rarely speak in perfect sentences. They speak in short, flexible phrases that fit the moment. So today, we will train those moments together. Listen carefully, repeat out loud, and imagine yourself inside the situation. The first group of phrases is about starting conversations naturally, not formally. Not like a textbook, but like real life. Imagine you meet someone at work, at a cafe, or online. Instead of saying, "Hello, how are you?" in a robotic way, natives often say things like, "Hey, how's it going?" or "Hey, what's up?" These phrases are casual and friendly. They do not require a long answer. A natural response could be pretty good. "How about you?" or "Not bad. Just busy today." Notice how short and relaxed this feels. Another very common opener is, "So, what have you been up to?" This is not asking for a full story. It simply invites the other person to share something small. A natural reply might be "just working a lot lately," or "nothing much. Just taking it easy." Now repeat after me. What have you been up to? Good. Keep your voice calm, not tense. Another phrase you will hear constantly is, "How's everything going?" Again, this is not a deep question. You can answer with, "Everything's going well," or "Things are going all right." These soft answers help the conversation flow. Now, let us move into responding politely when someone asks you something. Imagine someone says, "Do you have a minute?" Instead of saying yes or no sharply, natives often soften it. They might say, "Sure. What's up?" or "Yeah. Give me a second." These small phrases make you sound cooperative and relaxed. Repeat after me. Sure. What's up? Good. Another situation. Someone asks for help, and you cannot help right now. Instead of saying no, you can say, "I'd love to, but I'm tied up at the moment." This phrase is very natural at B1 level and sounds confident. Repeat. I'm tied up at the moment. Excellent. Now imagine you are listening to someone explain something. You want to show interest without interrupting. Native speakers use short signals like, "I see," "Got it," "Right," or "That makes sense." These phrases are powerful because they show understanding without stopping the speaker. Repeat after me. That makes sense. Good. Now let us practice agreeing in a natural way. Instead of saying, "I agree," which is correct but stiff, natives often say "yeah," "exactly," or "yeah, I feel the same way." These phrases sound human and friendly. Repeat. Yeah. Exactly. Great. Now imagine someone shares an opinion and you partly agree, but not completely. You can say, "I see your point, but I'm not totally sure." This phrase is common at B2 level and shows balanced thinking. Repeat. I see your point, but I'm not totally sure. Very good. Now we move into everyday reactions. When something surprises you, instead of saying really in a flat way, natives often say, "Oh wow, I didn't see that coming," or "No way, that's crazy." These phrases add emotion and make your speech feel alive. Repeat. I didn't see that coming. Nice. Now, imagine you made a small mistake. Instead of apologizing formally, you can say, "My bad," or "Sorry about that. My mistake." These are casual and very common. Repeat. My mistake. Good. Now, let us slow down and focus on asking for clarification. This is very important for fluency, because fluent speakers are not afraid to ask. If you do not understand something, you can say sorry. Could you say that again? Or just to be clear, you mean. These phrases help you stay in the conversation. Repeat after me. Just to be clear, you mean. Great. Now imagine someone is speaking too fast. You can say, "Sorry, you're speaking a bit fast." Or do you mind slowing down a little? This is polite and confident. Repeat. Do you mind slowing down a little? Excellent. Now, let us practice simple transitions that keep you speaking without stopping. Native speakers use fillers naturally. Like, well, actually, you know, or I mean. These words give your brain time to think. They are not mistakes. They are tools. Repeat after me. Well, actually. Good. Now, imagine you are giving an opinion. Instead of saying "in my opinion," you can say "I think" or "I feel like." These are softer and more natural. Repeat. I feel like. Nice. Now let us move to everyday situations. Imagine you are making plans with a friend. Instead of saying, "Let us meet at 7, natives say, "How about 7? Or "Does 7 work for you?" These phrases invite agreement. Repeat. Does 7 work for you? Great. If you want to change the plan slightly, you can say, "Actually, can we push it back a bit?" This phrase is very common. Repeat. Can we push it back a bit? Excellent. Now imagine someone cancels plans. Instead of being upset, natives often say, "No worries," or "It's all good." These phrases keep relationships smooth. Repeat. No worries. Good. Now, let us finish this section with confidence builders. If someone thanks you, instead of saying "You're welcome" every time, you can say, "No problem," "Anytime," or "Happy to help." These phrases sound warm and natural. Repeat. Happy to help. Great. Take a breath. You are doing well. Remember, fluency grows when you speak calmly and consistently, not when you rush or force perfect sentences. Keep listening, keep repeating, and stay with me, because the next part will help you express thoughts more clearly and naturally in longer responses. Without overthinking, as you continue, begin to notice something important. Fluent speakers do not try to sound impressive. They try to sound clear. So, in this section, we will train phrases that help you explain yourself in a simple, confident way, especially at the B1 to B2 level. Imagine you are talking about your day. Instead of saying, "Today I did many activities," which is vague and unnatural, native speakers say things like, "It was a pretty busy day," or "It was one of those long days." These phrases instantly feel real. Repeat after me. It was a pretty busy day. Good. Now imagine you want to explain why you are tired. Instead of giving details, you can say, I've been running around all day. This phrase is very common and natural. Repeat. I've been running around all day. Excellent. Now let us practice explaining reasons. Instead of saying, because of the fact that, natives say, because, or just so. For example, I left early because I wasn't feeling great. Or I stayed home so I could rest. These are simple but powerful. Repeat. I wasn't feeling great. Good. Now, imagine you want to share a small problem. Instead of saying, I have a problem, natives soften it by saying, I'm dealing with something. Or, I've got a bit of an issue. This sounds calm and mature. Repeat. I've got a bit of an issue. Nice. Now let us move into talking about opinions in daily life. At bej level, you can say I think it's a good idea, but to sound more natural. Natives often say, I think it makes sense, or it sounds like a good idea. Repeat. It sounds like a good idea. Good. Now imagine you are not sure yet. Instead of saying I don't know, you can say I'm not sure yet, or I need to think it over. These phrases show reflection. Repeat. I need to think it over. Great. Now, let us practice reacting when you hear new information. If someone tells you something unexpected, natives often say, Oh, I didn't realize that, or that explains a lot. These phrases connect ideas smoothly. Repeat. That explains a lot. Excellent. Now imagine you want to add information politely. Instead of interrupting, you can say, actually, there's one more thing, or just to add to that. This keeps the conversation flowing. Repeat. Just to add to that. Good. Now, let us practice expressing preferences. Instead of saying, I like this more than that, natives say, I tend to prefer this, or I'm more into this. These sound relaxed and confident. Repeat. I'm more into this. Great. Now, imagine someone asks what you do on weekends. Instead of listing activities, you can say, I usually take it easy, or I like to keep things low-key. These phrases are extremely common in native speech. Repeat. I like to keep things low-key. Nice. Now let us talk about work and study. A very common phrase is, I'm working on it. This does not mean you are working right now. It means it is in progress. Repeat. I'm working on it. Good. If something is almost finished, natives say, I'm just about done. Repeat. I'm just about done. Excellent. Now imagine something is delayed. Instead of saying it is late, natives say it's taking a bit longer than expected. This sounds professional and calm. Repeat. It's taking a bit longer than expected. Very good. Now, let us practice handling misunderstandings. If someone misunderstood you, instead of saying you're wrong, you can say, I think there's been a misunderstanding. This phrase is polite and clear. Repeat. There's been a misunderstanding. Good. Now imagine you want to correct yourself. Natives often say, I mean, or let me rephrase that. This shows clarity. Repeat. Let me rephrase that. Excellent. Now, let us practice talking about feelings in a natural way. Instead of saying, I am very stressed, natives say, I've been feeling a bit overwhelmed. This is common and relatable. Repeat. I've been feeling a bit overwhelmed. Good. If you feel relaxed, you can say, I feel pretty calm about it. Repeat. I feel pretty calm about it. Nice. Now let us move into giving updates. Instead of saying there is no change, natives say not much has changed, or things are more or less the same. Repeat. Things are more or less the same. Great. Now imagine, good news. Instead of saying it is good, natives say, it's going really well, or things are looking good. Repeat. Things are looking good. Excellent. Now let us practice ending conversations smoothly. Instead of saying goodbye suddenly, natives say anyway. I should get going, or I'll let you get back to it. These phrases sound polite and natural. Repeat. I should get going. Good. Now imagine you want to promise future contact. You can say, let's catch up soon, or I'll keep you posted. Repeat. I'll keep you posted. Great. Now pause for a moment and notice how these phrases work together. None of them are complex, but they give you control, confidence, and flow. This is how fluency grows. Not by memorizing long sentences, but by mastering short, flexible chunks. Stay focused. Keep repeating. And in the next section, we will move into expressing ideas more clearly in longer conversations, especially when sharing experiences and stories, without losing confidence or natural rhythm. Now that you feel more comfortable explaining yourself, let us move into telling short stories and sharing experiences, because this is where many B1 learners feel stuck. They know the words, but they do not know how to connect them naturally. Fluent speakers use simple structures and familiar phrases to guide the listener. Imagine you want to talk about something that happened recently. Instead of starting with yesterday at 7:30 in the evening, natives often begin with something like, the other day, or recently. This immediately sounds natural. Repeat after me. The other day. Good. Now, to continue the story, instead of listing actions, natives say things like, so basically, or long story short. These phrases help you organize your thoughts. Repeat. So basically. Great. Now, imagine you want to describe a situation. Instead of saying it was very difficult and stressful, natives say it was kind of intense, or it was a bit of a mess. These phrases sound honest and human. Repeat. It was a bit of a mess. Good. Now, imagine something unexpected happened. Instead of saying suddenly, natives often say out of nowhere. This phrase is extremely common. Repeat. Out of nowhere. 19.4. Now, let us practice describing reactions. Instead of saying I was surprised, natives say I didn't know what to think, or I was caught off guard. Repeat. I was caught off guard. Nice. Now, imagine you want to explain how you handled the situation. Instead of saying, I solved the problem, natives say, I managed to figure it out, or I dealt with it somehow. These phrases show effort. Repeat. I managed to figure it out. Good. Now, imagine the result was positive. Instead of saying, it ended well, natives say everything worked out in the end. Repeat. It worked out in the end. Excellent. Now imagine, the result was not perfect. Natives often say it didn't go as planned. But that's life. This sounds realistic and mature. Repeat. It didn't go as planned. Good. Now let us move into giving examples. Instead of saying, for example, all the time. Natives say like, or for instance, or say. Repeat. For instance. Nice. Now, imagine you want to emphasize a point. Natives say the thing is, or what I mean is. These phrases signal importance. Repeat. The thing is. Good. Now imagine you want to slow down your story and think. Fluent speakers use pauses with phrases like, let me think, or, how should I put this? Repeat. How should I put this? Excellent. Now, let us practice sharing personal experiences without oversharing. Instead of saying, I feel very embarrassed, natives say it was a little awkward. This is softer and more natural. Repeat. It was a little awkward. Good. Now imagine you learned something from the experience. Instead of saying, I learned a lesson, natives say it taught me a lot. Repeat. It taught me a lot. Nice. Now let us move into comparing past and present. Instead of saying before it was different, natives say it used to be different, but now it's better. Repeat. It used to be different. Good. Now imagine you want to talk about habits. Natives often say I tend to, or I usually end up. Repeat. I usually end up. Excellent. Now, let us practice describing frequency. Instead of saying sometimes, natives say every now and then, or once in a while. Repeat. Once in a while. Good. Now, imagine you want to describe effort. Instead of saying I tried hard, natives say I did my best. Repeat. I did my best. Nice. Now let us practice expressing limits. Instead of saying, I cannot do more, natives say, that's about as much as I can do. Repeat. That's about as much as I can do. Excellent. Now imagine you want to describe improvement. Natives say, I'm getting the hang of it. This phrase is very common and useful. Repeat. I'm getting the hang of it. Good. Now let us move into everyday decision-making. Instead of saying, I decided quickly, natives say, I went with my gut. Repeat. I went with my gut. Great. Now imagine you want to explain a small change of plan. Instead of saying, I changed my decision, natives say, I had a change of heart. Repeat. I had a change of heart. Nice. Now let us practice expressing uncertainty in a confident way. Instead of saying, I don't know if it will work, natives say, we'll see how it goes. Repeat. We'll see how it goes. Excellent. Now imagine you want to end a story naturally. Instead of stopping suddenly, natives say anyway. That's what happened. Or long story short, that's how it ended. Repeat. That's how it ended. Good. Now, take a moment and notice how these phrases help you speak longer without panic. You are not memorizing a script. You are learning patterns that guide your speech. This is exactly how fluent speakers think. They move from one familiar phrase to the next. Stay relaxed. Keep repeating. And in the next part, we will focus on speaking more confidently in discussions and everyday opinions, especially when you need to respond on the spot without freezing. As we move forward, let us focus on speaking confidently in discussions, because real fluency means you can respond even when you are not prepared. Native speakers rely on flexible phrases that buy time and organize ideas. Imagine someone asks for your opinion unexpectedly. Instead of freezing, you can start with, well, honestly, or to be honest. These phrases give you a natural entry point. Repeat after me. To be honest. Good. Now imagine you want to soften your opinion. Instead of sounding too strong, natives say, I kind of feel like, or I tend to think that. Repeat. I tend to think that. Excellent. Now, imagine you want to disagree politely. Instead of saying, I disagree directly, natives say, I'm not sure I see it that way, or I see it a bit differently. These phrases are common at B2 level. Repeat. I see it a bit differently. Good. Now imagine you want to agree while adding something. Natives often say, I agree with you on that. And at the same time, or I get what you're saying, but. Repeat. I get what you're saying, but I roof. Nice. Now let us practice expressing uncertainty without losing confidence. Instead of saying, I don't know, natives say, I'm not entirely sure, or I could be wrong. But these phrases sound thoughtful. Repeat. I could be wrong. But. Good. Now imagine you want to pause and think. Fluent speakers say, let me think about that for a second. Or, give me a moment. Repeat. Give me a moment. Great. Now imagine someone challenges your idea. Instead of getting defensive, natives say, that's a fair point. Or I hadn't thought of it that way. These phrases show openness. Repeat. That's a fair point. Excellent. Now, let us practice clarifying your position. Instead of repeating yourself, natives say, what I'm trying to say is, or the way I see it. Repeat. The way I see it. Good. Now imagine you want to shift the topic slightly. Natives often say, speaking of that, or that reminds me. Repeat. That reminds me. Nice. Now, let us practice everyday comparisons. Instead of saying this is better than that, natives say this works better for me. Or this makes more sense to me. Repeat. This makes more sense to me. Good. Now imagine you want to express doubt politely. Natives say, I'm not convinced yet. Or I have my doubts. Repeat. I have my doubts. Excellent. Now let us practice responding to feedback. If someone gives you advice, instead of saying okay, natives say, I'll keep that in mind. Or, that's good to know. Repeat. I'll keep that in mind. Great. Now imagine someone compliments you. Instead of denying it strongly, natives say, I appreciate that. Or thanks. That means a lot. Repeat. That means a lot. Good. Now let us practice giving gentle suggestions. Instead of saying, you should, natives say, maybe you could, or you might want to. Repeat. You might want to. Excellent. Now imagine you want to set a boundary. Instead of saying, I refuse, natives say, I'm not comfortable with that. Or, I'd rather not. Repeat. I'd rather not. Nice. Now, let us practice expressing curiosity. Instead of asking why directly, natives say, what made you think that? Or how did you come to that conclusion? Repeat. What made you think that? Good. Now imagine you want to summarize your opinion. Natives say so, overall, or at the end of the day. Repeat. At the end of the day. Excellent. Now imagine you want to end a discussion politely. Natives say, I think we're on the same page. Or let's leave it there for now. Repeat. Let's leave it there for now. Good. Now, pause and notice how these phrases protect your confidence. You are not rushing to be perfect. You are guiding the conversation. This is the mindset of a fluent speaker. In the next part, we will move into handling real-life situations, like requests, offers, and small conflicts calmly and naturally, without sounding stiff or unsure. Now, let us focus on handling real-life situations calmly. Because fluency is tested most when something goes wrong or when you need to respond politely under pressure. Native speakers rely on simple, respectful phrases that keep things smooth. Imagine you need to make a request. Instead of saying, "I want this," natives say, "Could you help me with this?" Or "Would you mind giving me a hand?" These phrases sound polite and natural. Repeat after me. Would you mind giving me a hand? Good. Now imagine you are asking for information. Instead of saying, "Where is this?" natives say, "Do you happen to know where this is?" Repeat. Do you happen to know? Excellent. Now imagine you need to interrupt briefly. Instead of cutting someone off, natives say, "Sorry to interrupt, but," or "Just a quick question." Repeat. Just a quick question. Good. Now let us practice responding to requests. If someone asks you for help, and you can help, natives say, "Sure, I can take care of that," or "No problem. I've got it." Repeat. I've got it. Nice. Now, imagine you cannot help. Instead of saying no, natives say, "I wish I could, but I'm tied up right now," or "I'm afraid I can't at the moment." Repeat. I wish I could, but. Excellent. Now let us practice handling delays. If something is late, natives say, "Thanks for your patience," or "Sorry for the delay." Repeat. Thanks for your patience. Good. Now imagine you are in a service situation, like a store or restaurant. Instead of complaining directly, natives say, "I think there might be a small issue with this," or "I just wanted to check something." Repeat. I just wanted to check something. Nice. Now imagine the other person made a mistake. Instead of blaming, natives say, "I think there's been a mix-up." Repeat. There's been a mix-up. Excellent. Now, let us practice responding to problems calmly. Instead of saying, "This is bad," natives say, "This isn't quite what I expected." Repeat. Isn't quite what I expected. Good. Now imagine you want to ask for a solution. Instead of saying, "Fix this," natives say, "Is there any way we can sort this out?" Repeat. Sort this out. Great. Now let us practice accepting offers. If someone offers help, natives say that, "Would be great," or "I'd really appreciate that." Repeat. I'd really appreciate that. Good. Now imagine you want to refuse politely. Instead of saying, "No thanks," strongly, natives say, "I think I'll pass," or "Maybe another time." Repeat. Maybe another time. Excellent. Now let us practice making suggestions in daily life. Instead of saying, "Let's do this," natives say, "Why don't we try this?" Repeat. Why don't we try? Good. Now, imagine you want to negotiate slightly. Natives say, "Would it be possible to," or "Is there any chance we could?" Repeat. Is there any chance we could? Nice. Now let us practice expressing frustration gently. Instead of saying, "I'm angry," natives say, "It's been a bit frustrating." Repeat. It's been a bit frustrating. Good. Now, imagine you want to calm a situation. Natives say, let's take a step back. Or, let's see what we can do. Repeat. Let's see what we can do. Excellent. Now let us practice responding to apologies. Instead of saying it's fine flatly, natives say no worries at all. Or it happens. Repeat. It happens. Good. Now imagine you want to thank someone sincerely. Natives say, thanks for taking care of this. Or, I really appreciate your help. Repeat. I really appreciate your help. Great. Now pause and notice how these phrases help you stay calm and confident, even in difficult moments. You are not reacting emotionally. You are responding fluently. In the next part, we will move into social situations and small talk, where natural rhythm and tone matter just as much as the words you choose. Now, let us move into social situations and small talk, because this is where fluency feels most natural and most human. Native speakers use light, flexible phrases to connect without pressure. Imagine you are meeting someone new. Instead of asking many questions, natives often start with simple observations, like it's nice to finally meet you, or I've heard a lot about you. Repeat after me. It's nice to finally meet you. Good. Now imagine you are in a casual setting, like a party or a break at work. Instead of asking, what do you do immediately? Natives say so. What brings you here? This sounds open and friendly. Repeat. What brings you here? Excellent. Now imagine you want to comment on the situation around you. Natives say it's pretty busy today. Or this place is packed. These phrases create easy connections. Repeat. This place is packed. Good. Now let us practice keeping small talk going. Instead of answering shortly and stopping, natives add small extensions. For example, if someone asks, how's your day going? You can say, pretty good so far. Just taking things as they come. Repeat. Taking things as they come. Nice. Now imagine you want to shift topics naturally. Natives often say, by the way, or speaking of which. Repeat. Speaking of which. Good. Now let us practice reacting to shared experiences. If someone says work has been stressful, natives reply with, yeah, I know the feeling, or tell me about it. These phrases show empathy. Repeat. I know the feeling. Excellent. Now imagine someone shares good news. Instead of saying congratulations formally, natives say, that's awesome, or good for you. Repeat. Good for you. Nice. Now imagine you want to share something personal, lightly. Natives soften it with phrases like, to be honest, or honestly speaking. Repeat. Honestly speaking. Good. Now let us practice talking about free time. Instead of listing hobbies, natives say, I usually just unwind. Or, I like to switch off. Repeat. I like to switch off. Excellent. Now imagine you want to describe something you enjoy casually. Natives say, I'm really into it lately. Repeat. I'm really into it lately. Good. Now let us practice talking about things you do not enjoy. Instead of saying, I hate it, natives say it's not really my thing. Repeat. It's not really my thing. Nice. Now imagine you are talking about trends or changes. Natives say everyone seems to be talking about it. Or it's been popping up everywhere. Repeat. It's been popping up everywhere. Excellent. Now let us practice light humor responses. Instead of laughing silently, natives say, yeah, that sounds about right. Or figures. Repeat. That sounds about right. Good. Now, imagine you want to agree casually. Natives say for sure. Or definitely. Repeat. For sure. Great. Now let us practice reacting to plans. If someone suggests something, natives say, I'm down for that. Or, sounds good to me. Repeat. Sounds good to me. Nice. Now imagine you want to show hesitation politely. Natives say, I'm not sure yet, but I'll let you know. Repeat. I'll let you know. Good. Now, let us practice wrapping up small talk smoothly. Instead of stopping suddenly, natives say anyway, it was great chatting with you. Repeat. It was great chatting with you. Excellent. Now imagine you want to reconnect later. Natives say, let's keep in touch. Or catch you later. Repeat. Catch you later. Good. Now let us practice everyday phone or online interactions. Instead of saying hello, formally, natives say, hey, just checking in. Repeat. Just checking in. Nice. Now imagine you want to follow up on something. Natives say, I wanted to follow up on that. Repeat. Follow up on that. Excellent. Now let us practice responding when someone is busy. Natives say, no rush. Take your time. Repeat. Take your time. Good. Now imagine you want to politely end an online conversation. Natives say, I'll leave you to it. Repeat. I'll leave you to it. Great. Now pause and notice how social fluency is about ease, not performance. You are not trying to impress. You are trying to connect. These phrases help you stay relaxed, present, and natural. In the next section, we will move into workplace and professional conversations at the B2 level, where clarity and tone matter just as much as confidence. And you will learn how to sound professional without sounding stiff or unnatural. Now let us move into workplace and professional conversations, because this is where many learners feel pressure to sound perfect. But real professionalism is about clarity and calm tone, not complex language. Imagine you are starting a work conversation. Instead of jumping straight to the topic, natives often soften it with phrases like, just wanted to touch base, or, I wanted to check in with you. Repeat after me. Just wanted to touch base. Good. Now imagine you want to explain what you are working on. Instead of giving long details, natives say, I'm currently working on, or I'm focusing on this right now. Repeat. I'm currently working on. Excellent. Now imagine you need more time. Instead of saying, I need more time directly, natives say, I might need a bit more time on this. Repeat. A bit more time on this. Good. Now let us practice giving updates. Instead of saying there is progress, natives say we're making good progress. Or things are moving along. Repeat. Things are moving along. Nice. Now imagine something is blocked. Instead of saying, I can't continue, natives say, I'm waiting on a few things. Repeat. I'm waiting on a few things. Excellent. Now, imagine you want to ask for clarification at work. Instead of saying, I don't understand, natives say, just to make sure I understand. Or could you clarify this part? Repeat. Could you clarify this part? Good. Now let us practice responding to instructions. Instead of saying, okay, natives say, got it. I'll take care of it. Repeat. I'll take care of it. Nice. Now imagine you want to suggest an idea in a meeting. Instead of saying, my idea is, natives say one idea could be, or what if we tried? Repeat. One idea could be. Excellent. Now imagine you want to show agreement professionally. Natives say I'm on the same page, or that aligns with what I was thinking. Repeat. I'm on the same page. Good. Now imagine you want to express concern politely. Instead of saying this is a problem, natives say I have a small concern, or this might be something to consider. Repeat. Something to consider. Nice. Now let us practice giving feedback gently. Instead of saying this is wrong, natives say, I think there's room for improvement. Repeat. Room for improvement. Excellent. Now imagine you receive feedback. Instead of defending yourself, natives say, thanks for the feedback. I'll work on that. Repeat. I'll work on that. Good. Now imagine you want to set expectations. Instead of saying, I will finish tomorrow, natives say I should have this ready by tomorrow. Repeat. Should have this ready. Nice. Now imagine plans change. Instead of apologizing repeatedly, natives say plans have shifted a bit. Repeat. Plans have shifted a bit. Excellent. Now let us practice scheduling. Instead of saying, when are you free? Natives say, what does your schedule look like? Repeat. What does your schedule look like? Good. Now, imagine you want to reschedule. Natives say, can we move this to later? Or would it be okay to reschedule? Repeat. Reschedule. Nice. Now imagine you want to end a meeting. Natives say, I think we've covered everything. Or let's wrap things up. Repeat. Let's wrap things up. Excellent. Now imagine you want to follow up professionally. Natives say, I'll follow up with an email. Repeat. Follow up with an email. Good. Now imagine you want to thank someone at work. Natives say, thanks for taking the time. Or I appreciate your input. Repeat. I appreciate your input. Nice. Now imagine you want to close a work conversation politely. Natives say thanks again. Talk soon. Or, I'll keep you posted. Repeat. Talk soon. Great. Now, pause and notice how professional fluency is about balance. You are clear without being blunt, polite without being weak. This is exactly the B2 mindset. In the next section, we will move into expressing opinions, preferences, and emotions more deeply, which is where your English starts to feel personal and truly confident. Now let us move into expressing opinions, preferences, and emotions more deeply, because this is where your English becomes personal and confident. Native speakers at the B2 level speak with nuance, not extremes. Imagine you are asked how you feel about something. Instead of saying, I like it, or I don't like it, natives say I'm pretty into it, or it's not really my cup of tea. Repeat after me. Not really my cup of tea. Good. Now, imagine you feel strongly but want to stay calm. Instead of saying, I love it, natives say, I'm really drawn to it, or I'm a big fan of it. Repeat. I'm a big fan of it. Excellent. Now imagine you want to express mild dislike, politely. Natives say, I'm not too keen on it. Repeat. Not too keen on it. Good. Now let us practice talking about emotions in a natural way. Instead of saying, I'm very happy, Natives say, I feel really good about it. Or I'm in a good place right now. Repeat. In a good place. Nice. Now, imagine you feel stressed, but want to sound balanced. Natives say it's been a bit overwhelming lately, but I'm managing. Repeat. I'm managing. Excellent. Now imagine you want to describe motivation. Instead of saying, I'm motivated, natives say, I feel pretty motivated, or I'm feeling driven. Repeat. Feeling driven. Good. Now, imagine you want to express disappointment calmly. Instead of saying, I'm disappointed, natives say, I was hoping for a bit more. Repeat. Hoping for a bit more. Nice. Now let us practice talking about confidence. Instead of saying, I'm confident, natives say, I feel comfortable with it. Or, I'm fairly confident about it. Repeat. Fairly confident. Excellent. Now, imagine you want to talk about uncertainty honestly. Natives say, I have mixed feelings about it. Repeat. Mixed feelings. Good. Now, imagine you want to explain a decision emotionally. Instead of saying, I decided because of feelings, natives say it just felt right at the time. Repeat. Felt right at the time. Nice. Now, let us practice expressing relief. Instead of saying, I'm relieved, natives say, I'm glad that's over. Repeat. Glad that's over. Do excellent. Now imagine you want to express frustration without sounding angry. Natives say it's been getting on my nerves a bit. Repeat. Getting on my nerves. Good. Now imagine you want to show appreciation emotionally. Natives say it really means a lot to me. Repeat. Means a lot to me. Nice. Now, let us practice expressing empathy. Instead of saying, I understand you, natives say, I can imagine how that feels. Repeat. Imagine how that feels. Excellent. Now imagine you want to encourage someone. Natives say, you've got this. Or hang in there. Repeat. Hang in there. Good. Now imagine you want to express hesitation emotionally. Natives say, I'm a little unsure about it. Repeat. Little unsure. Nice. Now let us practice talking about long-term feelings. Instead of saying, I've felt this way for a long time, natives say, I've been feeling this way for a while. Repeat. For a while. Excellent. Now, imagine you want to explain emotional change. Natives say, I'm starting to feel more comfortable with it. Repeat. More comfortable with it. Good. Now imagine you want to describe emotional balance. Natives say, I'm trying to keep things in perspective. Repeat. Keep things in perspective. Nice. Now, let us practice closing emotional conversations gently. Instead of stopping abruptly, natives say anyway. I just wanted to share that. Repeat. Just wanted to share that. Excellent. Now, pause and notice how emotional fluency is about honesty without drama. You are not exaggerating. You are expressing yourself clearly. This is where English becomes truly yours. In the next part, we will move into handling uncertainty, change, and problem-solving calmly, which is a key skill for moving from B2 towards C1 fluency. Now let us move into handling uncertainty, change, and problem-solving, because this is where your English starts to sound mature and adaptable. Fluent speakers do not panic when things are unclear. They use calm phrases to stay in control. Imagine something unexpected happens. Instead of saying, I don't know what to do, natives say, we'll figure it out. Or, let's see how this plays out. Repeat after me. We'll figure it out. Good. Now imagine plans change suddenly. Instead of reacting emotionally, natives say things didn't go as planned, or plans changed at the last minute. Repeat. Didn't go as planned. Excellent. Ass. Now, imagine you need time to decide. Instead of saying, I need time, natives say, let me think it through. Repeat. Think it through. Good. Now, let us practice expressing uncertainty calmly. Instead of saying, I'm confused, natives say, I'm not entirely sure what the best move is. Repeat. Not entirely sure. Nice. Now imagine you want to talk about risks. Instead of saying, it's risky, natives say there's always a chance it might not work. Repeat. There's always a chance. 2. Excellent. Now, imagine you want to describe a challenge. Instead of saying it's hard, natives say it's a bit tricky, or it's more complicated than I expected. Repeat. More complicated than I expected. Good. Now let us practice talking about effort. Instead of saying, I'm trying, natives say, I'm doing what I can. Repeat. Doing what I can. Nice. Now imagine you want to describe progress in a difficult situation. Instead of saying, it's getting better, natives say things are slowly coming together. Repeat. Coming together. Excellent. Now imagine you want to explain a setback. Instead of saying there was a problem, natives say we hit a small setback. Repeat. Small setback. Good. Now let us practice problem-solving language. Instead of saying, we need a solution, natives say, let's look for a workaround. Repeat. Workaround. Nice. Now, imagine you want to suggest patience. Natives say, let's give it some time. Repeat. Give it some time. Excellent. Now, imagine you want to express realism. Instead of saying it won't be perfect, natives say it won't be perfect, but it should be good enough. Repeat. Good enough. Good. Now let us practice accepting uncertainty. Instead of saying I'm worried, natives say we'll just have to wait and see. Repeat. Wait and see. Nice. Now imagine you want to explain flexibility. Natives say we'll adjust as we go. Repeat. Adjust as we go. Excellent. Now, imagine you want to encourage calm thinking. Natives say, let's not jump to conclusions. Repeat. Jump to conclusions. Good. Now, imagine you want to explain learning from mistakes. Instead of saying I made mistakes, natives say it's all part of the learning process. Repeat. Learning process. Nice. Now, let us practice responding when things finally improve. Instead of saying it's better now, natives say things are back on track. Repeat. Back on track. Excellent. Now, imagine you want to reflect on uncertainty positively. Natives say sometimes things work out in unexpected ways. Repeat. Unexpected ways. Good. Now let us practice closing problem-focused conversations calmly. Instead of stopping abruptly, natives say anyway, we'll deal with it as it comes. Repeat. Deal with it as it comes. Excellent. Now pause and notice how these phrases help you stay steady when life is uncertain. This calm confidence is a key step towards C1 fluency. In the next part, We will focus on sounding more natural and fluent over longer stretches of speech, using rhythm, linking ideas, and speaking without hesitation. Now let us focus on sounding natural and fluent over longer stretches of speech. Because real fluency is not just about individual phrases. It is about rhythm, flow, and how ideas connect. Native speakers do not rush. They guide the listener step by step. Imagine you are explaining something longer. Instead of jumping straight into details, natives often start with a framing phrase, like, the main thing is, or what it comes down to is. Repeat after me. What it comes down to is, good. Now imagine you want to organize your thoughts clearly. Natives use simple signposts like, first of all, then, and in the end. These words help the listener follow you. Repeat. First of all, good. Now imagine you want to slow down and think while speaking. Instead of stopping completely, natives say, let me put it this way, or the way I see it. Repeat. Let me put it this way. Excellent. Now let us practice linking ideas smoothly. Instead of saying many short sentences, natives connect them with phrases like, at the same time, on the other hand, or, that being said. Repeat. That being said. Good. Now imagine, you want to return to your main point. Natives say, going back to what I was saying, or coming back to the main point. Repeat. Coming back to the main point. Nice. Now let us practice giving explanations more naturally. Instead of saying this is important, natives say the reason this matters is. Repeat. The reason this matters is. Excellent. Now imagine you want to give background information. Natives say just for context, or to give you some background. Repeat. Just for context. Good. Now let us practice emphasizing ideas without sounding dramatic. Instead of saying, this is very important, natives say this makes a big difference. Repeat. Makes a big difference. Nice. Now imagine you want to soften strong statements. Natives say more or less, or for the most part. Repeat. For the most part. Excellent. Now let us practice handling pauses naturally. Instead of filling silence with natives pause briefly or say, you know, or like. Repeat. You know. Good. Now, imagine you want to clarify something you just said. Natives say, what I mean is. Repeat. What I mean is. Nice. Now let us practice explaining cause and effect smoothly. Instead of saying because again and again, natives say, that's why, or which means that. Repeat. That's why. Excellent. Now imagine you want to describe a process. Natives say, step by step, or over time. Repeat. Over time. Good. Now let us practice adding examples naturally. Instead of saying, for example, formally, natives say, you're in a situation where. Repeat. Say you're in a situation where. Nice. Now, imagine you want to keep the listener engaged. Natives use phrases like, you know what I mean, or if that makes sense. Repeat. If that makes sense. Excellent. Now let us practice expressing balance. Instead of saying both sides, natives say there are pros and cons. Repeat. Pros and cons. Good. Now imagine you want to explain limits. Natives say, to a certain extent. Repeat. To a certain extent. Nice. Now let us practice expressing contrast gently. Natives say, while that's true, or even so. Repeat. Even so. Excellent. Now, imagine you want to describe gradual change. Natives say little by little. Repeat. Little by little. Good. Now, let us practice summarizing longer thoughts. Instead of repeating everything. Natives say, so overall. Or all things considered. Repeat. All things considered. Nice. Now imagine you want to check understanding in a longer explanation. Natives say, does that make sense so far? Repeat. Make sense so far? Excellent. Now, let us practice shifting tone naturally. Instead of sounding flat, natives vary their rhythm by slowing down at key points. This comes with practice. Now, imagine you want to conclude a long explanation. Natives say, that's basically how it works. Repeat. How it works. Good. Now imagine you want to move on smoothly. Natives say anyway. Moving on. Repeat. Moving on. Nice. Now let us practice reflecting on what you said. Natives say, looking back on it. Or in hindsight. Repeat. In hindsight. Excellent. Now imagine you want to share insight from experience. Natives say from my experience. Or what I've noticed is. Repeat. What I've noticed is. Good. Now, let us practice sounding thoughtful. Instead of saying, I think deeply. Natives say, I've been thinking about it. Repeat. I've been thinking about it. Nice. Now imagine, you want to express learning over time. Natives say, it took me a while to realize. Repeat. Took me a while to realize. Excellent. Now let us practice concluding reflective speech. Natives say anyway. That's just my take on it. Repeat. My take on it. Good. Now pause and notice how these phrases help you speak longer without stress. You are guiding the listener, not racing your thoughts. This is a key step toward confident, natural English. In the next section, we will focus on sounding truly confident in spontaneous situations. When you have no time to prepare and still need to respond clearly and naturally. Now let us focus on sounding confident in spontaneous situations, because this is where many learners feel pressure. When there is no time to prepare and you must respond naturally in the moment. Fluent speakers rely on calm starter phrases and flexible thinking. Imagine someone suddenly asks you a question. Instead of freezing, natives often begin with, let me think for a second. Or, that's a good question. These phrases buy you time without sounding unsure. Repeat after me. That's a good question. Good. Now, imagine you need to answer, but you are not completely sure. Instead of guessing nervously, natives say, I'm not totally sure, but I think. Repeat. Not totally sure, but I think. Excellent. Now, imagine you need to respond quickly in a conversation. Natives use simple reactions, like, right, okay, or I see, to stay engaged while thinking. Repeat. I see. Good. Now, imagine someone asks for your opinion on the spot. Instead of giving a long answer, natives start with, honestly, or off the top of my head. Repeat. Off the top of my head. Nice. Now let us practice handling unexpected requests. Instead of saying, I can't right now abruptly, Natives say, let me check and get back to you. Repeat, get back to you. Excellent. Now imagine someone shares surprising news. Instead of staying silent, natives say, wow, I didn't expect that. Or, that's interesting. Repeat, that's interesting. Good. Now imagine you want to react positively, without exaggeration. Natives say, that sounds promising. Repeat, sounds promising. Nice. Now imagine you want to slow down a fast exchange. Natives say, hold on a second. Or, let me catch up. Repeat, let me catch up. Excellent. Now imagine you are unsure how to respond emotionally. Natives say, I'm still processing that. Repeat, still processing that. Good. Now, let us practice responding when you do not have an answer. Instead of feeling embarrassed, natives say that's a good point. I'll need to think about it. Repeat, need to think about it. Nice. Now imagine someone asks for your preference. Suddenly, natives say, I'd probably go with. Repeat, go with. Excellent. Now, imagine you want to give a short explanation quickly. Natives say, basically, or in short. Repeat, in short. Good. Now, let us practice correcting yourself naturally in the moment. Natives say, actually. Let me rephrase that. Repeat. Rephrase that. Nice. Now, imagine you want to keep the conversation going while thinking. Natives ask small questions like, what do you think? Or how about you? Repeat. How about you? Excellent. Now imagine you want to respond confidently to praise unexpectedly. Instead of denying it strongly, natives say, thanks. I appreciate it. Repeat. Appreciate it. Good. Now imagine someone asks you to decide quickly. Natives say, let's go with this. For now. Repeat. For now. Nice. Now let us practice handling pressure calmly. Instead of saying, I'm stressed, natives say, give me a second to think. Repeat. Give me a second. Excellent. Now imagine you want to exit a spontaneous situation politely. Natives say, I've got to run. But, let's talk later. Repeat. Talk later. Good. Now imagine you want to sound calm, even when unsure. Natives say, we'll see how it goes. Repeat. See how it goes. Nice. Now let us practice reacting. When plans change suddenly, natives say, okay, that works too. Repeat. That works too. Excellent. Now, imagine you want to respond when someone is waiting for your answer. Natives say, all right. Here's what I think. Repeat. Here's what I think. Good. Now let us practice sounding composed. Instead of rushing, natives slow their speech slightly and use pauses naturally. This is confidence, not speed. Now imagine you want to conclude a spontaneous exchange smoothly. Natives say anyway. Let's catch up later. Repeat. Catch up later. Nice. Now pause and notice how spontaneous fluency comes from mindset, not memorization. You trust yourself to respond with simple, flexible phrases. This is how real speakers operate. In the final part, we will bring everything together and help you speak with steady confidence across daily life, work, and social situations. So stay with me and keep going. Now let us bring everything together. and turn these phrases into a confident speaking mindset. Because real fluency is not about remembering every phrase perfectly. It is about trusting yourself to respond naturally in any moment. Imagine your daily life. Conversations flow, situations change, and you stay calm because you have the tools. When you speak, you start gently. You give yourself time, and you guide the conversation instead of chasing perfect sentences. Native speakers think this way. They do not panic. They adjust. Imagine yourself in a normal day. You greet people easily. You react without fear. And when you do not know the perfect words, you still speak. This is fluency. Now let us practice combining everything naturally. Imagine someone asks how things are going. You respond with pretty good, overall. Just keeping busy. Then they ask about work. And you say, things are moving along. Still working on a few things. But it's coming together. Notice how smooth that feels. Now imagine plans change. Instead of stress, you say, no worries. We'll figure it out. This shows confidence. Now imagine a longer conversation. You start with, to be honest. Then you explain your thoughts using what it comes down to, is. You add balance, with that being said. And you conclude with all things considered. This is exactly how fluent speakers structure ideas. Now imagine a difficult moment. Instead of silence, you say, let me think this through. Or give me a second. This keeps you in control. Now imagine social moments. You connect with, it's nice to see you. Keep things light with, I know the feeling. And close smoothly with it, was great chatting with you. Now imagine professional moments. You stay calm. You say just wanted to check in. You give updates. You thank people sincerely. And you close with talk soon. All of this is real English. Used every day by real people. Now, take a moment and realize something important. You do not need to sound like a native speaker. You need to sound like a confident speaker. Confidence comes from repetition, from calm breathing, and from accepting small imperfections. Now let us do a final mindset reset. Slow down your speech slightly. Pause when needed. Link ideas gently. And trust familiar phrases. This is how you stop translating and start responding. Remember, fluency is built in moments, not overnight. So keep practicing, keep listening, and keep speaking out loud. If this lesson helped you, support English and Mastery by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with someone who is learning English. And leave a comment telling me which phrase you will start using today. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Keep going. You are closer to fluency than you think. Before we finish, I want to slow things down for a moment and speak to you honestly. Not as a teacher trying to impress you, but as someone who understands what it really feels like to learn a language over time. English fluency is often misunderstood. Many people believe that if they just watch enough videos or memorize enough phrases, one day, everything will suddenly click. In reality, fluency does not arrive all at once. It builds quietly, through small habits, repeated exposure, and realistic expectations. That is why this lesson was designed the way it was. Not to overwhelm you. Not to promise instant results, but to guide you towards steady, natural progress. One important thing to understand is that fluent speakers are not perfect speakers. They hesitate. They rephrase. They change direction mid-sentence. And sometimes they choose simple words instead of advanced ones. What makes them fluent is not the absence of mistakes, but the ability to keep going without panic. When you stop worrying about sounding perfect, you begin to sound real. That shift in mindset is often more important than learning new vocabulary. If you are at the B1 or B2 level, your main challenge is not knowledge. You already understand a lot more English than you think. The real challenge is confidence and automatic response. Many learners stay silent, not because they do not know what to say, but because they are afraid of choosing the wrong words. This fear creates hesitation, and hesitation breaks fluency. The solution is not more grammar rules. The solution is repeated, calm practice with natural language. Exactly like the phrases and patterns you heard in this lesson. Another common mistake is trying to learn everything at once. English is not something you conquer in one big effort. It is something you build through moments. Short conversations, simple reactions, everyday responses. When you focus on small, realistic goals, like responding naturally in one situation today, progress becomes visible and motivating. Over time, these small wins add up to real confidence. It is also important to be honest about how learning works. Watching a video alone will not make you fluent. Listening alone is not enough. Fluency grows when listening turns into speaking, even if your speaking is quiet, slow, or imperfect at first. That is why repeating out loud matters. That is why imagining real situations matters. Your brain learns language through use, not through passive understanding. A practical approach that works for many learners is this. First, listen without pressure. Let the language flow. Second, repeat short phrases out loud. Not everything, just what feels useful. Third, reuse those phrases in your own life, even if it is only in your thoughts or private practice. When you do this consistently, English starts to feel less like a foreign system and more like a familiar tool. You also need patience. Progress in language learning is rarely linear. Some days you feel confident. Other days you feel stuck. This is normal. It does not mean you are failing. It means your brain is adjusting. The learners who succeed are not the fastest ones, but the ones who keep going without quitting. Consistency always beats intensity. Another key point is honesty in learning. There is no shortcut that replaces time and practice. Any resource that promises instant fluency is not being realistic. Real improvement comes from repetition, reflection, and gradual exposure to natural language. This video is meant to support that process, not replace it. It gives you structure, examples, and rhythm. But the real work happens when you engage with the language regularly. If you want to use this lesson effectively, here is a simple suggestion. Do not try to finish everything at once. Break it into parts. Listen on different days. Repeat sections you find useful. Let your brain absorb the patterns naturally. Over time, you will notice that certain phrases come to you faster. That is fluency beginning to form. It also helps to accept your own accent and style. Fluency does not mean sounding exactly like a native speaker. It means being understood and feeling comfortable expressing yourself. Many fluent speakers around the world have accents, and that is perfectly normal. What matters is clarity, confidence, and connection. As you continue learning, remember that English is a tool, not a test. It is something you use to connect, to share ideas, and to understand others. When you treat it this way, learning becomes lighter and more enjoyable. Pressure slows you down. Curiosity moves you forward. If this lesson helped you feel calmer, more confident, or more motivated, that means you are on the right path. The goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. Even small progress counts. Even one new phrase used naturally is a success. If you would like to continue learning in this calm, realistic way, you are always welcome to come back to this channel. The content here is designed to support long-term improvement, not quick tricks. Feel free to revisit lessons, repeat them, or simply listen again when you need reinforcement. If you want to support this kind of honest, practical learning, a simple way is to like the video, subscribe to the channel, or share it with someone who is also learning English. These small actions help the channel grow and allow more learners to find resources that respect their time and effort. Most importantly, keep going. Fluency is built step by step, moment by moment. You are not behind. You are learning, and that is exactly where you need to be.